It's the MOPOWERZ, where knowledge is power. How are you all doing this terrific Tuesday? Me, I'm doing absolutely fabulous, and you too can feel fabulous if you remove yourself from the matrix. And if this is your first time watching the MOPOWERZ, I ask that you share the information with relatives, friends, co-workers, even the guy that's waiting at the bus stop going to work just like yourself. It is a magnificent way to jumpstart a conversation with someone you don't know or do know. And today's conversation is entitled Cash Kelly Throws Jacob Blake Under the Bus. If you all are not familiar with Cash Kelly, you can go to his YouTube page. I myself am still getting acquainted with whom he is through the material that he brings through the land of YouTube. However, despite the fact that he brings great material, he threw Jacob Blake under the bus, the young black man that was shot 7 times in the back by KENOSHA, Wisconsin Police Department. Mind you, he was walking away from the police, going to his car. Now, according to the reports, which I first heard these criminal activities on Jacob Blake about was on Cash Kelly. Cash Kelly throws Jacob Blake under the bus by saying, "Is this the guy that you all are tearing up the country for?" That's what he said. And with the information that he provided on his show, I did my own research, and I come up with the same charges that he come up with. In fact, I come up with the same images in detail, word for word, the very same thing that he had, or facts that he had on his show. And I got my facts from Brandon Tatum on Twitter. Brandon Tatum on Twitter has the criminal reports that Jacob Blake has been charged with and possibly is charged with. But after all of this has taken down, the charges, whatever they were, will be dismissed, and those we will be discussing. Because according to Cash Kelly said that Jacob Blake had a firearm, conceal of a firearm charge, drunken public intoxication with a firearm, etc., 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 dealing with firearms and concealed weapon. That is absolutely true according to the reports. According to the reports, according to the criminal records or activities that they have on Mr. Blake. Now, Cash Kelly said that they were there for his arrest, when in reality, according to the eyewitnesses and according to the police department, they said that they was going to that vicinity in regards to a domestic call. Now, his fiance, Jacob Blake's fiance, along with other residents and eyewitnesses who was there on the scene, said that Jacob Blake was actually breaking up a fight. He was breaking up a fight. Some kind of way, a scuffle ensued with the police and Mr. Blake. Mr. Blake, some kind of way, slips out of the locks that the police has him in. He walks away from the police to the other side of his car where his two children are at. And the way that Mr. Kelly, Cash Kelly, said his children are in the back seat, that was real funky. I understand you pissed off because of the information that you found on the man. Yes, the man is known to have firearms, according to the reports. And a warrant, according to the reports, was issued on the 6th of July of 2020. Domestic violence, third degree sexual assault, trespassing. Now, those charges were filed on the 6th of July. These are not the same charges that was filed back in 2015, which was the initial charges of him carrying guns in bars. The bar owner asked him to leave. The magazine dropped out of the gun. He was intoxicated and he left. But as he left, according to the police report, Blake stuck a gun through the window. I mean, like, how do you stick a gun through a window? Like, do you stick it through a glass? Is there a siding on the side of the window where there's room for him to put the gun through? I don't know. I wasn't there. However, I do know that when police officers arrest you and they are doing their report, they add to it. They actually charge you with charges that may not stick, but one of them or two of them will. They write these charges up that way to ensure a conviction takes place on one of the charges. Have you ever been to a jury? Have you ever had jury duty or whatever? And the defendant is charged with 12 counts of this and 7 counts of that. But when the jury come back, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, 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 not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. You see what I'm saying? So, Mr. Kelly, you also stated that the young girl that the sexual assault charged for, she was 15 years old. I never did see that in the report. Could you please help me out with that information, where I can find that information at? Because I never found that information. You said that he had a gun. You circled the image that was in his hand, and you said that it was a gun. Excuse me, you said that it was a knife. You said that it was a knife. Now, it is 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, according to the reports lately on the news right now, Governor Evers, who's the governor of the state of Wisconsin, the lieutenant governor, the chief of police, and the attorney general, none of them have said any weapon of Mr. Blake was involved in an incident. So I'm asking you, Cash Kelly, because I like to be right and exact with the information that I bring. I also question people with information that I don't have or didn't get. That's not to say that your information is not true. I'm just saying that I haven't found it. And if you would please be so kind to refer me to the information where you get about the young girl being 15 years old or anything in regards to that third degree sexual assault case. I'm not saying that he didn't do it. I'm not saying that he did do it. However, I am saying that he was charged with it, but just because he was charged with it doesn't mean that he was convicted of it, because he never went to court for it, right? I'm just saying. You say, according to your video, Cash Kelly, you say that the police was called on him for an arrest or some domestic violence, but according to the witnesses that were there on the scene, not a story in a newspaper, not a video, according to the people that were there, according to the police, why they got there was because of a domestic, yeah, but it wasn't for him. He just happened to have a warrant when they came. That's what I gather. That's doing my math. Which reminds me, this total incident reminds me of the incident that took place in Minnesota with George Floyd. Because after George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin, people began to come up with all negative images and characteristics of George Floyd. Hell, it even came out that he was a drug addict and that he was a porn star and everything. But no one has ever answered my question. Where's the $20 fake bill that they say he was trying to use? Now, you all say that he was a drug dope fiend, and and he was a porn star, but you also say that he was a Mason. You also say that he was a Mason. You say that he had tattoos, and I'm talking about George Floyd. But you all said that he was a bad guy, even though he was killed by law enforcement. But they didn't have a reason to kill him. Just like they didn't have a reason to shoot Jacob Blake in the back 7 times unarmed. Now, Cash Kelly, if you have a image developer or some device that blows images up and you can exactly pinpoint to us that he had a knife in his hand, great. I will submit to that. But as I stated, not even the governor, the attorney general, chief of police, or lieutenant governor has mentioned any weapon of Mr. Blake's was even involved in the incident. So where did you get your information from? I really would like to know. I'm not trying to sabotage your conversation or trying to question what you're saying, but I am questioning where are you getting your information from, because the only information that I got here was from Brandon Tatum, and from the images that you have on your show are the very same images that Brandon Tatum had on his Twitter account. So I'm asking you, as an inquisitive, growing person who is seeking truth as well in this case, seeing that you say that people are tearing up the country over a no good criminal. You called him a pedophile. He was charged, not convicted. You can say that I'm a murderer, but in the court of law, if I beat the case, am I a murderer? Legally, this man didn't even go to court. And like I said, from the looks of it, all of those cases are going to be dropped immediately. And common sense, just for me, common sense for me would be, if there was any weapon involved, the Kenosha, Wisconsin police would have done like the chief of police did in Detroit, Michigan, when they shot that man 7 times, right? When he up itchy and began to shoot at the police, and bang, 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 they kill him. The chief of police, I believe his name is Mr. Rice, immediately, within 24 hours, came out with cam footage that showed the so-called victim whom law enforcement shot. He was actually in the wrong, and they weren't even there for him at all. The person that they came for laid on the ground and complied. But if the police was so right and there was a weapon on Mr. Blake like you claim, can you please provide the public with that information, seeing that the people who ruled that state said nothing of such of a kind. I'm just saying, Mr. Kelly, I would like to really dialogue with you on more conversations, more topics, more events that's taking place globally. That would be a fantastic network event for me and you. I've watched you a couple of times. Like your information, some things I question, some things I just let go by. But this one here, I could not let go by because I can't find that information that you're pinpointing. So that makes me question. And like I said, it really makes me question when the rulers of the state haven't even come out with the information that you're bringing to the people. That's what I'm saying. Now, if he did do that devious act with an adolescent, would that be karma for him, which the police did? I think, just from my standpoint, that was a murder that went wrong. A murder, excuse me, it was an attempted murder that went wrong. Okay? Because that police tried to murder him. No question, hands down. The world saw that, Mr. Cash, Kelly. Now, whatever he did, was it worth or does it equal to what that police did? Seeing that we are in the times of high tension, racial tension, unjustifiable killings by law enforcement on black men and black women globally. And yes, globally. Remember, we had them brothers over there in Paris, Spain. They killed them too right after they killed George Floyd. Same way. The same way. So you say that we're tearing up America over a criminal? Are the police criminals, Mr. Kelly, when they break the law? Are they criminals? And seeing that they broke the law, should they not be punished? What you got there? Somebody in the chat room, you all. Crazy Crib City, Blue York. Salute. Good morning. Good morning, brother. Peace to you. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah. For those of you who are just tuning in, Cash Kelly is throwing Jacob Blake under the bus just because he has a criminal record. Hell, how many black men in America do you know that have a criminal record? I'm just saying. Now, just because a person has a criminal conviction in their background, does that mean that their life is not worthy to live? Just because they have a criminal background, does that give law enforcement, so-called law enforcement, to take their life from them? Mr. Kelly? Now, I noticed that, excuse me, what you say? They always talk about the black man criminal record after we pass away. You know what? That's my thing. What does that have to do with the fact, with what those police did unjustly, wrongfully? There's no excuse for that. That should be a open and closed case. Now, Kenosha, Wisconsin Police Department do not wear body cams, but there were so many witnesses. They were the body cam, and even the baby mama. Okay, and I don't know if that's who he got the domestic case with, because he got like 2 of those cases. He had a trespass case gun possession case and the third-degree sexual assault case. That's the new cases. That can't be the old cases from 5 years ago. The information that you brought up that I found, Mr. Kelly, that's 5 years ago. You mean to tell me that they've been looking for that man for 5 years when the warrant was just issued on the 6th of July of this year? And the initial counts of criminal activity that you say that he committed, that was done in 2015, 5 years ago, when he was 24 years old. And that's exactly what it says on the images of what you gave us in your video. And if you go further, you will find the other evidence that I saw about the criminal activity in which he just had the warrant issued for last month. You say that the man had a gun in the car with his kids. There's no evidence that support what you said. There's no evidence that support that. So can somebody help me out? Did somebody get more information? Or, I would like to know that. And do you think that that was karma if he did do that? Or do you just think that the officer do you think that that officer really meant to kill him? That's the question. Do you think that that officer who shot Jacob Kelly meant to kill him? An unarmed black man? Screw all of the criminal activity. That man was avoiding the police. He wasn't running toward the police. He was trying to leave. What you say here, brother? There's really no justification. If you watch the video, all he was doing was headed to his car. They didn't have to pursue him if they felt their life was exactly. That's all I'm saying, Mr. Kash Kelly. Mr. Kash Kelly, you're saying that that man's life had no meaning because he had a criminal record. If that's the case, Mr. Kash Kelly, no black man here in America, just about, life is worthy, seeing that they have a criminal record. What are you saying, bro? Like, be real. What are you saying? And like I said, let's see some facts of what you're saying about the age of the young lady. I want to see that. If you can help me with that, I need that information too. That helps me grow too. What's that there? Basically, white officers are scared of color, blacks, not a gun. I'm going to tell you something. I've heard police chiefs tell their officers to just bring the young black men in. We'll figure out what we'll do with them later. I spoke about that in prior videos last year, and this took place in New York. When the chief of police, when the commander of the precinct in New York, you can just Google it, YouTube, you go look it up. Police chief tells officers to just go arrest black men. Pops right up. That's all over the country. All over the country. That's part of their subculture. And trust me, I know. How do I know? Because I am who I am. And if you want to know who I am and the people that I hang out with, go watch the video, Civil Unrest, Squad Up. It was made last year, so just keep going down to the bottom on this channel. You will see it. And you will know how I know the things that I know. Now, the only way that Kash Kelly can know what he know, if it's true, if that means that he got some inside law enforcement source, or he himself is law enforcement. Because as I say, the rulers of the state don't even have the information that he's providing me with, or you with. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Why do black people throw black people under the bus for white people when the black person gets killed by the white cop? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. What if that was your son, Cash Kelly? What would you do? You say, what if that was your daughter? What if he was your son? What if Jacob Blake was your son? Oh, you're probably saying, well, my son wouldn't be like that. No parent thought that their child would be the way that they are if they are bad. But badness changes with time, don't you think? And just because you have good parents don't mean that you're going to be a good child. I can see the children of pastors, and they some of the worst children. Would you agree, Mr. Kelly? I'm just saying. What you say there? Yeah. So I'm not going to keep you all too long. I haven't been to sleep at all. And it's like, what, 7:30 now. I haven't been to sleep. I've been researching all night on a whole bunch of topics. But when I saw the video by Cash Kelly, I had to stop, pause, research some more, put aside what I was on, and just dig. So if you can help me, Cash Kelly, or if anybody out there can help me in the land of YouTube, that will give me some answers to some questions that I gave to Cash Kelly, could you please leave your comments in the comment section or leave the information that I'm requesting for in the comment section? I would appreciate that. And what do you all think? Leave me the information or your opinion on what do you think. Do you think the officer was wrong? What do you think should happen to the officer? And do you think that Cash Kelly was right or wrong for throwing Jacob Blake up under the bus? What do you think? Leave your comments in the comment section. What do you say, brother? We have so much sympathy when an officer get killed from a random person, but don't have the same sympathy for a black person that gets killed from the officer. I ride with you 1,000%. Programmed. What do they call that? Stockholm Syndrome. I'm just saying. Cash Kelly talking about that this type of behavior over some worthless black man is destroying our country. We're going to tear up our country over a worthless black man, unquote. Really? If it was so much our country, Cash Kelly, we would not be going through what we're going through. Cash Kelly, I know that you're like, I viewed you and I'm still checking you out. If this is your country, Cash Kelly, why is the police killing black people that's unarmed? Could you answer that? If this is your country, Cash Kelly, why is it that black people have the worst of everything? Worst public housing, worst schooling, worst public transportation, worst everything. If this is your country, Cash Kelly, why is the rights of black people being violated all over the country? If this was your country, Cash Kelly, why is it that people from all over the U.S., because it's happening all over the world, but we're talking about the U.S., why is all of these people in the U.S., pink people, blue people, red people, yellow people, purple people, green people, every color in the crayon box is out here across America protesting for the injustices done by law enforcement? I'm just saying. So, what would be your opinion of Sean Bell? What would be your opinion of that young black man that they killed in Chicago? They put 17 holes in him. They gave his mother $2 million. but they put X amount of holes in his body as he was walking away. What's your opinion, Mr. Cash Kelly, of the black man that was shot and killed by the police in Louisiana? What's your opinion on that, Cash Kelly? What's your opinion of the young man that was shot and killed in Indiana by law enforcement, and after they killed him, they stood up over his body and laughed? What's your opinion on that, Cash Kelly? What's your opinion on Brother Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, Cash Kelly? Are you throwing them under the bus too? I'm just saying. What about Michael Brown? Did you throw him under the bus? What about Freddie Gray? Did you throw him under the bus? I want to know. What you say? Get some rest. Oh God, come back later to get some knowledge in our heads. Okay, I appreciate that, brother. But I just wanted to throw the questions out there to Cash Kelly, seeing that he just threw this black man who was just wrongfully shot almost to death. Like I said, it was an attempted murder that went bad for them. Went bad for them, huh? If this is his country, he's a part of the problem and not the solution, obviously. Did you hear that, Cash Kelly? That's not me. That's people in the chat room. Like I said, I like your material. However, I disagree with you throwing that man under the bus just because he has a criminal record. And like I said, just because they charged him with that offense doesn't necessarily mean that he did it. He was never convicted because he never went to court. So we'll never know, because as I stated, those charges, all of them, gone, and his family is paid. What do you all think? I'm looking forward to hearing from you, Cash Kelly, and thank you out there, Crazy Crip that's out there in Blue York. We'll see you all later. It's the MOPOWERZ, where knowledge is power, and remember, it is your third eye that makes you shine like jewelry. Thanks for viewing.